Welcome back, guys. This is Gaming with Austin. This is episode 31 of the Utopian Community series. Oops. Random tick speed does not work in the Bedrock version of Minecraft. Let's finish planting those carrots. Once that happens, once we finish that, we'll start focusing on building more houses. We'll start focusing on building more houses. And eventually those houses I have right here, they'll end up getting destroyed and replaced by duplexes, then threeplexes, followed by fourplexes. Then sixplexes, then straight up apartment buildings. Straight up apartment buildings. With the community, you wouldn't have to use money for trading. There'd be a bartering system. And eventually, once those carrots have been planted, it's game on. I'll start building a transportation system. Similar to the metro. Oops. Wrong button. Like, that's okay. Problem solved. Okay, let's get this on. And if no job wants to hire me in America, I might straight up end up becoming a farmer. What it means is I'm gonna bust my ass just to feed everybody. Any food I have in excess, I'd give it to homeless people for free. I'd feed the homeless. Because they need food too. One thing you might notice about the RTX 2080 and the 2080 Ti, it has a new stage of SLI called NVLink 2. It's basically the next step towards double graphical performance. Eventually triple graphical performance for 3 graphics cards. Imagine 4-way SLI on the RTX 2080. That'd be crazy. Performance would be crazy. Who needs that? The problem with the RTX 2080, who the hell needs that? You could just stick with, in my opinion, I'd stick with the GT 1030. Because an RTX 2080 is overkill. It's a tad bit overkill for me. You know, it might end up being worth it, it'll still be overkill. Because I'd rather get what I need. I might think about, eventually, as future generations go on and on, you know, the reason why machines are going to take over, it's not just that we're being entitled to everything nowadays. It ain't just that. But it's a result of capitalism. If we want to get our jobs back, we need to go to socialism. If we want our jobs back. Because whether we want to or not, eventually automation will steal our jobs. Eventually we'll end up having to resort to crypto mining. Sometime in the future, I might end up doing flying machines too. Eventually. Instead of just the subway. Murderface, he got his name from the fact his face kind of reminds people of murder. His looks is what drove his father into killing his mother than himself. That's how he got the name Murderface. It's actually a true story about Murderface from Metalocalypse. Basically, it's a TV show by Brendan Small about a death metal band who controls most of the economy. Oops. Back to the game. Accidentally summoned Cortana. And with Murderface, he loves booze. So much he'd rather chop his pee-pee off than admit that it's not food. As seen in the first episode of Metalocalypse. That is a spoiler alert right there. Minecraft, it's not just a game. It's also an art form too, where you could create large structures. Whether it be an obelisk, which is the Washington Monument, stuff like the Capitol, the White House, they're both pretty big buildings right there. And also, the House of Representatives too, which is Congress. School is back in session. going to school is one of those things I miss now since I've graduated from high school. It's one of those things I miss doing. Going to school. I miss going to school. Because my friends are my friends over there, they miss me. And if I was a substitute teacher, they're gonna see me again. Some of my former teachers will probably end up seeing me. There are some celebrities that graduated from the school I graduated from, including BJ Mackey. And also, Lisa Gibbons. Who, by the way, she made an appearance on The Simpsons. She made an appearance on The Simpsons. With The Simpsons, its popularity peaked in the 90s and it started declining in the 2000s. Even if The Simpsons does end, its franchise will still go on. Just like the legacy of Robbie Rotten after he passed away. He'll forever be number one. He'll always be number one. He was number one when he was still alive. He's still number one even though he's already dead. It's sad when you have to lose a celebrity to cancer, or heart disease, or any other disease out there. It's pretty sad. Just like what happened, just like when Star Wars fans heard about the death of Carrie Fisher. Or Alec Guinness. It is pretty sad to lose a celebrity like that. Especially with the death of Carrie Fisher. About 2 years ago. And Alec Guinness back in 2000. It's both pretty sad to lose a celebrity like that. It's pretty sad, actually, to lose a celebrity. Alec Guinness died from cancer of the liver. Carrie Fisher died from sleep apnea, which probably was the one thing that caused her heart attack. Sleep apnea. This is why you shouldn't do drugs if you're a celebrity. Unless it's marijuana. You're okay with that. Because the truth about marijuana is, it's not a gateway drug, actually. It's not a gateway drug, actually. Tobacco and booze are gateway drugs. Tobacco and booze are gateway drugs. Which means if you can do any of those, you might risk becoming a drug addict. pretty sad. It's pretty sad to see your family struggle with drug addiction. Family members struggle with drug addiction. Look at Chester Bennington. His drug addiction ultimately led to his suicide, and also depression. They're both pretty... Sometimes depression can be a symptom of PTSD, which is probably why some people with that end up taking their own lives. There are people out there who took their own lives to avoid an even worse consequence, like Aaron Hernandez, who took his own life to prevent his suffering from CTE, chronic traumatic encephalopathy. There are some diseases that are inevitable. There are diseases out there that are invariably fatal. There are moral subjections to euthanasia too. There are people out there who euthanize their pets because they're terminally ill. Avoiding euthanizing shelter animals can cause even more suffering to animals outside the shelter, which is problematic. Which is why I oppose no-kill shelters. Well, one thing we need to do to help reduce euthanasia and kill shelters is if they don't want their pets, if the shelters don't want their pets anymore, they could just give it off to pet stores. They could take care of the rest. Another thing we could do is sterilize our pets, because that prevents future suffering for future generations to come. It prevents a slow death. It prevents more. It reduces death. Kill shelters reduce death. No kills cause even more death. Bad death and slow death. The problem with animal hunting is that with hunters, they only hunt the strongest animals, which means it cripples their ecosystem. It's not about conservation. Hunt sabotage, it's not about conservation. It's about keeping the strongest alive. And all the other deer alive, too. As well. Which is why I'm not thinking about buying a hunting rifle. If I was to protect my house, if I owned a house, I'm not going to use a gun. I'd use anything but a gun. A really good way to protect yourself if you don't have the right to bear arms is a knife. Or sword. A knife is... The problem with a knife is it's short range. A sword is a bit longer range. But you see, there's a lot of bloodshed, which is kind of gross. Possibly making people want to throw up, which is pretty disgusting. An example of a hunt saboteur is one of the members of the death metal band Carcass. Two of the members are vegetarians. One of them used to be vegan, the other was a hunt saboteur. My goal is to promote veganism and go against capitalism. Because capitalism causes a lot of suffering, not just in America, but the rest of the world too. Causes poverty not just in America, but also the rest of the world. Which is why the underdeveloped countries tend to stay poor for a while. There will never be equality under capitalism. Socialism's our only hope. There's both left-wing and right-wing socialism. The truth about climate change is that some of it's man-made, some of it's natural. The liberals only think about the man-made causes. The conservatives, they only think of natural causes. For me, I think of both sides. Especially in America. Under the Trump admin. How to fight climate change? 1. Go vegetarian. 2. Ditch fossil fuels. Because livestock produces most of the methane. This is proof that meat is unsustainable. What we need is raw protein. That raw protein only comes from plants. Our best hope to ending global warming is ditching fossil fuels and going vegan. Going vegetarian can only slow it down. It only slows it down. The real reason behind the US occupation in Saudi Arabia? Oil. But now, we're going back to making our own oil now. This is almost done. In China, they produce most of the CO2 in this world. You may think America is the one that produces most of it, but it's actually China. This is finished. This is all finished. Two, 3, 4, 16. Oops. food sabotage can be our only hope towards... Because I myself personally am against animal hunting. I'm building a path so we could build more houses behind. Six, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12. There was this vegan festival in Europe. Someone decided to piss off a bunch of vegans by eating a bloody piece of raw meat. Which is pretty disgusting. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And eating that bloody piece of raw meat is pretty disgusting. It's pretty disgusting. I myself promote veganism and vegetarianism as it's a better option for your health. Statistically, vegetarians tend to live longer than their meat-eating counterparts. It's better for the animals too, since they don't suffer as much if you go vegetarian. What's even better, if we all went vegan. Because anatomically, we are herbivores, not omnivores. To prove that, look at the anatomy of our gut. Look at the anatomy of our guts. We have our teeth. With carnivores, their teeth are, their canines are really huge. Same with omnivores. Imagine being bred to grow so large so quickly. To where you become disabled as a result of the rapid growth. Yeah. Your best bet to stopping that greed is to go vegetarian. Or maybe go vegan. That would be our only hope to fighting this violence against the animals. Want to know where gelatin comes from? Ground up ligaments, tendons, bones, and skin of animals. That's pretty that's the nastiest cocktail I've ever heard of. It's pretty nasty, if you ask me. It's not just found in Jell-O, it's found in gummy snacks. Usually. But there are vegan gummies, too. There are vegan alternatives to gelatin. Gelatin's found not only in gummies and Jell-O, but also marshmallows. Which is pretty disgusting. Your best bet, ditch meat altogether. gelatin. Don't forget ditching collagen as well, because that's just as important. Eating meat will put you at a higher risk of food poisoning as well, because our stomachs, their acid's not strong enough to kill all the bacteria found in raw meat. It's pretty disgusting. Wanna know why? Yeah. Kosher people need to stop labeling kosher meat as kosher, because look at what the animals have to go through. Especially the cattle. They go through a lot of suffering, just so they could go on our plate. That's it for this video. Thank you for watching. Leave a like if you liked this video, dislike if you disliked it, subs if you loved it. Share this with your friends to help because that's good for my channel. As always, thank you for watching, and as always, peace out.